Okay, so you want to buy a Tibetan Mastiff. You have the money, the large private estate, and you want a dog that looks like a lion and guards like a fortress. You are not looking for a cute companion, you are looking for a statement. But there is a strange reality hidden inside that massive mane. The Tibetan Mastiff is the only living creature in modern history that traded exactly like a speculative stock market bubble. And just like any artificial financial asset, the owners who bought at the peak eventually realized a terrible truth. What exactly happens when a luxury asset with a multi-million-dollar valuation suddenly loses its social status, but still needs to eat 4 cups of premium meat every single day? Before we look at the crash, we need to look at the price list. Buying a Tibetan Mastiff depends entirely on what kind of social signal you're trying to send. If you just want the breed and go to a local rescue shelter, you might pay around $300 to $500, but you are a serious buyer, so you go to an established breeder in the United States or Europe. A standard purebred puppy will cost you between $2,000 and $6,000. If you want a specific rare coat, like a red or blue-gray Mastiff, that price easily jumps to $10,000. But let us rewind a few years to the peak of the Chinese economic boom, where this dog stopped being an animal and became a financial instrument. Between 2008 and 2014, the newly wealthy elite of China decided the Tibetan Mastiff was the ultimate status symbol. If you owned a coal mine or a real estate empire, you needed a massive, ferocious dog tethered outside your mansion. Because of this, prices detached from reality. In 2011, a red Mastiff named Big Splash sold for $1,600,000. 3 years later, in 2014, a property developer attended a luxury pet fair in Zhejiang province and paid 12 million yuan, or $1,900,000, for a single 1-year-old golden-haired puppy. At that moment, a dog weighed more in value than a luxury penthouse in New York. But an apartment does not have teeth. Which brings us to the actual cost of keeping a lion in your backyard. You see, you did not just buy a dog. You bought 150 pounds of territorial aggression wrapped in thick fur. The true business model of owning a Mastiff is a constant drain on your liquidity. First, there's the food. A fully grown Mastiff eats roughly 430 pounds of high-quality dry food a year. That is a baseline of $100 to $120 a month just in calories. Then comes the grooming. You cannot simply wash a dog with a lion mane in your bathtub. Professional grooming for a giant breed runs up to $1,200 a year. But food and shampoo are the cheap parts. The real hidden cost is the liability. This breed was engineered for centuries by Himalayan nomads to protect flocks from snow leopards and wolves. Therefore, their natural instinct is to view every stranger, delivery driver, or visiting friend as a lethal threat. You cannot simply put a standard collar on them and walk them through a busy park. You need specialized behavioral training which runs thousands of dollars. And even with training, insurance companies know the statistics. A Tibetan Mastiff bite is catastrophic. Because of this, many standard homeowner insurance policies will explicitly drop your coverage the moment they find out you own one. To protect your assets, you must buy specialized animal liability insurance for dangerous breeds. That policy alone will bleed hundreds of dollars from your account every year. You are essentially paying an annual tax just to ensure your status symbol does not bankrupt you in a personal injury lawsuit. This brings us to the inevitable disaster. A financial bubble is built on the greater fool theory, the idea that someone will always pay more for your asset tomorrow. But an illiquid asset that requires constant feeding, training, and legal protection is the worst kind of investment. Around 2015, the Chinese economy cooled down, and anti-corruption campaigns swept the country, and the fad of owning an oversized mountain dog abruptly died. The millionaires stopped buying. When a luxury watch loses its value, you put it in a safe. When a $2 million dog loses its value, it becomes a massive, dangerous liability. Breeders who had opened massive kennel operations suddenly found themselves with thousands of giant dogs they could not sell and could not afford to feed. This created a nightmare. Thousands of purebred Mastiffs were simply abandoned by their breeders and wealthy owners to roam the Tibetan plateau. They formed feral packs, attacking livestock, threatening locals, and destroying the ecosystem. The reality of this burst bubble was exceptionally grim. In early 2015, a New York Times report revealed the fate of these former luxury assets. Around 20 Mastiffs were found stuffed into a metal cage on the back of a truck heading to a slaughterhouse in northeast China. The dogs that once sold for the price of a private jet were being sold for roughly $5 a head. destined to be turned into hot pot ingredients and the lining for winter gloves. The wealthy investors had moved on, leaving behind a living, breathing financial crisis that had to be cleaned up by local monasteries and animal rescue organizations. So let us calculate the final math. If you decide to buy a Tibetan Mastiff today, in an optimistic scenario, you buy a puppy from a reputable breeder for $4,000. Over a 10-year lifespan, you will spend roughly $12,000 on premium food, another $10,000 on giant breed veterinary care, and around $8,000 on liability insurance and professional training. Your $4,000 purchase actually costs you $34,000 in mandatory operating expenses. In a pessimistic scenario, your massive guard dog follows its genetic programming. It breaks through your expensive fencing and bites a neighbor. Your specialized liability insurance covers the medical bills but immediately drops your policy. The city mandates the dog be removed, and you are hit with a private lawsuit for emotional distress. You lose $50,000 in legal fees and settlement costs, plus the entire emotional and financial investment you put into the animal. Ultimately, owning a Tibetan Mastiff is a perfect lesson in the economics of status. A billionaire buys a luxury asset to prove they are untouchable. But when that asset requires a butcher's bill, a specialized lawyer, and a heavy-duty steel leash, you have to ask yourself a simple question. Are you holding the leash, or is the leash holding you?